The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. George Orwell, 1984. I have not written an article related to this in a while because of how overwhelming, and how much change is occurring, and despite the quarantine I'm sure I'm not alone. Now let's get to the facts. There are a total of 4,995,052 confirmed cases worldwide. The worldwide total of deaths is 328,085. In the USA, according to the White House Task Force and CDC, there are over 1,551,853 COVID-19 cases within U.S., with 93,439 confirmed dead in the United States as of today, but that is not including those that could have died previous to testing, post-moratorium, or sometimes even nursing homes, or let alone other countries. The focus seems to be less on the lives and more on the cost and loss of profits. With blood on the hands of the administration, the privileged, and snake oil capitalist. Trump says it is an honor link here. Firstly, let me address the masks or no masks. This is just my opinion about the no masks and virus protests. Wear a mask, social distance, quarantine. Don't be a fool. Please quarantine yourself if you went to those protests or hung around someone infected, as it would be the responsible thing to not do so, for an individual or a company to not test or provide and enforce PPE, and know ever were an individual who contracted the virus, and then continued to make them work knowingly that they might impart it onto another, is the endangerment of others, and if results in death, legally speaking, manslaughter. If there is a second wave during or near the end of summer, it will be the fault, and not only that, but be increased by the fault of ignorant leadership and for not educating the masses and providing them proper PPE. It will be their actions that will result in so many dead and only prove a lack of responsibility. Those areas who voluntarily did not enforce or partake in social distancing or use or provide PPE will be to blame. Shouldn't politicians, hospitals, health insurance, local, town, county, state, and federal government be liable and responsible not just for the lives saved but the lives lost or not taking proper action legally? Is saving a life inconvenient because it interferes with routines of greed, ego? 40 million have filed for jobless claims so far. That's counting long-term unemployment. It will be far worse if more people get infected and there is a second wave, and I wonder whose fault that will be. People don't choose a virus that has a 15 to 20% severe case rate, and if not for ventilators it would be the death rate. To put such on others may not kill them, but 5 people know 5 people. What if you kill someone you love or a person you care about, a person that they love? Hope is, but we have just grown numb. Force-fed perspective fear. Overworked, overdrawn, overstimulated, and oversaturated with talking points of opinionated truth by corporate mouthpieces between the words is the sentiment, and the sentiment of the words is profits over lives. People should not have to die for poverty wages. This is not the first time something like this happened in history. During the Spanish flu, there was a group called the Anti-Mask Leagues of San Francisco. You can read about it here. The fact that wearing a mask has become a political statement against the economy or test of personal strength is dumb. One death is still one too many. Stop being apathetic. Maybe be a little bit more empathetic, humane. Generalizing others only dehumanizes, and not respecting science shows a lack of education. There is no such thing as hate. It was taught through baby-birded fear-mongering and opinionated non-fact narratives. That being said, every time you go into a place without a mask, you're imposing a possible virus onto others. When you deny knowledge, you breed ignorance. Socrates. It's like this simply, liberty is a choice. To impose is to court tyranny. People either court liberty or the court tyranny. I would give my life to protect liberty, for liberty is choice. You have a right and I have a right. I would die for your right, but I would not die for your stupidity, but I would try to attempt to save you and others around you from it, for there is no greater tyranny and warlord than time and death. And to impart such willingly or ignorantly is the worst kind of tyranny. For those that think wearing or enforcing or impose someone to wear a mask is tyranny, consider this for a moment: to impose such a virus just because you didn't feel like wearing a mask or because you didn't believe in one, costs the lives of others for lack of taking the necessary steps or precautions is tyranny, period. Tyranny of apathy and stupidity, tyranny without value or compassion of life. If it was SARS or MERS, Ebola, or polio, would you reconsider? Liberty is choice, tyranny is to impose. It's as foolish. Shame on you all for not weighing the cost nor considering the consequences of their actions and words. One either courts liberty or one courts tyranny. But only one dies honest and free without their actions and words weighing on the conscience, for their actions and words having their weight can create a ripple that affects everyone around them, the people they hold in their inner circle, and then ripple back onto them. I firmly believe in one of many aspects of possibilities: what you put out, you can get back. That is why if you cannot find kindness, be kindness. If you can't find love, be love. If you can't find peace, make peace. If you have only one mask, put a mask on your child, not yourself. It's called heroism. There's a reason why women and children came first on the Titanic. Ignorance in the face of scientific fact is dangerous and deadly. And an educated mind can lead to death. To not wear a mask could amount to manslaughter or endangerment. To not put a mask on a child could be considered child endangerment. To not vaccinate your child could not only amount to child endangerment but manslaughter or your child or other. Consider the possible future implications. Here are no therapeutics and there are no vaccines for the virus nor people's stupidity. There are not enough tests, nor are enough ventilators. Depending on the hospital, there could be none. 6 feet apart is better than 6 feet under. Now the president said he would not close the country down if there was a second wave of COVID in the fall, as the medical experts are predicting. Speaking of typical Jim Jones fashion, Trump, corporations, politicians, Wall Street, and the other dragons are going to push for the sacrifice of the middle class and working poor. Sacrificing the true laborers of America. Profits are the unpaid wages of the labor of the working class. The working poor and middle class who do not have enough tests, protective equipment, health insurance, or wages for their privileges and capitalistic needs all. They need more profit in a world of a finite amount of resources at the beginning of an automated AI, robotics, etc. workforce takeover by big business. Big money whispers collectively between the narratives of the news: profits over life, profit over people, apathy over empathy. Program the populace by desensitizing to those that are physically and economically marginalized, until they're numb to the martyred dead, and compliant to work again. This great economic ship needs bigger life preserves and dingy boats, some even maybe bigger ships than the ship itself, but ignore that, for those that privilege haves. Don't worry about that though, they didn't forget about us, have not. They gave you this piece of driftwood we already took from you in taxes back, even though you built the boat, and workers collectively essentially really are the boat. The privileged just live inside such labor, insulated inside, eating more of your labor. But don't forget, you are replaceable, you are a thing. a cog to their structural machine of designed systems of control, and once you get sick, a family member gets sick, no childcare, mental or physical health, insert real-life scenario, why bother repairing when you get a new worker, fuck healthcare. Fuck social programs, everybody's on their own, your labor is their profits, let the working poor and middle class enjoy cowboy capitalism, but socialism for the monopolized business, politically and economically connected, and privileged. Ignorance and greed in the face of scientific fact is dangerous and deadly and will cost many lives. This was foolish to do, but then again, the emperor wears no clothes. Whoever can control the questions and the flow amounts of them can control the narrative of the answer. The worldwide access to clean water from 2000 to 2017 dropped from 20% to 10% thanks to many factors: capitalism, privilege, along with climate change. The United Nations declared that clean water and access to it, along with sanitation and its facilities, are an essential basic human right. Over 2 billion human beings throughout the world, the United States included, lack access to water. This is free of health risks, pathogens, mental poisoning, industrial and other wastes. 701 million people worldwide still had to practice open defecation. Wealth is tied to health, aka sanitation of the environment, the body, and the mind, and the well-being of a community workforce. Most pathogens and infectious diseases can be attributed to sanitation, and have a direct relation to poverty, GDP. Rights pay, healthy, and quality work environment of its sanitation workforce is an investment into the health and well-being of all workforce across all industries and in turn the wealth of the country. The sanitation industry is equal to the medical industry, and its value. Both should be categorized under the same umbrella as healthcare, for they are the most dangerous, for they both contribute to the health of a community and country. It is estimated that inadequate sanitation is responsible for 4% of deaths and 5.7% of diseases spreading of pathogens, and its burden worldwide. For any social and economic developing country knows adequate sanitation in conjunction with a good hygiene and safe water is essential to good health. Lack of proper sanitation and water causes diseases. Tight quarters and limited fresh air are places where influenza could easily be transmitted due, for example, elevators. The argument could and should be made that sanitation is on par with healthcare, if not more important. After all, who cleans the operating tables, the laboratory, the hospital hallways, and entryways? To say they should not be considered as part of the healthcare system and its workforce. For every $1 United States dollar spent on sanitation, the estimated return to society is $5 United States dollars and 50 cents. The statistic done in 2017 by the Joint Monitoring Program for Water Supply and Sanitation (JMP) estimates that 4.5 billion people currently do not have safely managed sanitation, and a total of 785 million people worldwide don't have access to basic drinking water services. In regards to basic hand-washing facilities with soap and water at home, about 60% of people worldwide have this facility, so consider the disease spread, and possible increase of the second and third wave of the pathogens and infectious diseases such as the COVID-19. However, but in third world countries, only 38% have such facilities. Overall, this translating to about 3 billion people still without basic hand-washing facilities at home. All you have to do to see the cracks of the system is look at history. If the cracks are still there, it only proves that the system and its governance workforce during times of crisis are still inept and have not learned anything since the last major pandemic over 100 years called the Spanish flu. Leadership learned nothing when it came to preparing logistically, scientifically, technologically or economically. Influenza pandemics have occurred every 30 to 40 years since the 16th century, ranging in severity. This only proves more the cracks in the system. Trump is not a medical professional, and he did not get a degree as such. Some part of me bets you, every morning, he wakes up and does a faceplant into a bag of Doritos or Cheetos, depending on how he's feeling. Then he decides between his own ego, vanity, and greed what to do. Recent example of the modern science in the World Health Organization, another stimulus check for all Americans, small businesses heroes who still have to cover health insurance, pay utilities, deal with payroll, along with leasing, rent, licenses, etc. We won't waive those or cover expenses, rather let the working class starve. Write a bill that is in name only for small business but give it to all our big friends. Friends like big coal and oil, big pharma, big oil, big health insurance, big corporate. After all, if America is a consumer nation, let the corporations take over. I care about my numbers and that stock market. I'm just going to do it on my own. Well, reopen the whole damn country and all Jim Jones this situation with bleach injections and UV rays with my popcorn politics of Barnum and Bailey circus-like personality and play doctor by suggesting medication. This will coincide with my corporate profiteering group of overlords using think tanks to make a propaganda narrative of teleprompter read speak and spell journalism within Fox News' factory of alternative facts, heavy in any wag the dog and baby birdies narrative. Politicians probably sit around and say, we'll play the people off of each other. Social programs are handouts, even though each American has paid into them through taxes for over 3+ generations, and times like these only prove the need for them and using them. For there is a lack of health. When you look at the numbers of people infected, we have the highest numbers of COVID cases at this point in the world, and sadly the lack of care in the healthcare business, just record-breaking profits. Hate and fear creates monsters. Try to see beyond hate and indifference, or all you will be left with is monsters. Divide and conquer through binary ideologies of the individualists, not the collective. Politicians are greedy idealists, who normally know nothing of the American struggle, so therefore they know nothing of the American dream. Millionaires who sit behind cameras and read script fed by staff, 4th grade vocabulary level, literacy level, probably on the edge of Dr. Seuss. Pushing for it to come down to in bold letters those that wear masks and those that don't. Those that believe in the scientific facts and those that believe in the opinions of basement bloggers and popcorn politics of yellow journalism think it's B********* and no different than the chickenpox. The true invisible enemy is ignorance, in the face of scientific fact. Fighting a corporation in ignorance is like fighting a dragon. You either need a couple of hundred people collectively working together, plus, or, a wizard with amazing stats like for example -100 plus charisma and law. But the force-fed baby-birded narrative by privileged capitalists whose system is a chain of inequality. Painted in the blood have-nots but coated with absolutes, all fed through an earpiece to teleprompter journalist selling a snake oil opinion of generalizations that dehumanize by de-empathizing a life. But what they seem to be asking for is for the greatest generation who fought in World War II to die. Sit on that for a moment. Some people are asking the boomers who fought in Vietnam to die. Sit on that for a moment. Some people are asking for the sick to die alone, but they're being nursing homes or hospital beds, people of all ages. Our parents' generation, and they can so carelessly on a whim say such things without considering the weight of their words or the consequences. What the people protesting with guns and demanding the right to open are not considering is the quiet quarantining masses, their retribution, the vote. Those who wear masks. Those who respect others, essential and non-essential workers who sacrificed profits and wages in respect of science fact, and wait patiently quarantining. While leadership did little to nothing to sustain and protect their health, life, safety, liberty, income, happiness. Those that haven't had a day off. The kind of people who wear masks, respecting social distancing, who believe in more PPE, more testing, who closed their business but still have to make payments, and everyone who closed themselves off to the ones we loved and care about, affecting us mentally and therefore physically. Cut off from even gathering during a funeral, the kind of people who have lost or know someone who has lost someone because of COVID. Those that know that a second wave is only 4 months away. Those that will wait for one of the 70 vaccines in development, even though the leading scientist Dr. Fauci said only months ago that a vaccine was 18 months minimum. Those people waiting in quarantine for the safety of others, the humane masses, our sleeping giant that will never forget, collectively hold this metaphorical scar forever and remember this moment etched in a wall of time, glowing with cracks, aged with logic, only proving a broken system. For when the value of things outweigh the value of people, you lose the value of everything. Wear a mask or don't wear a mask, that's your choice. What you do, and what you say define you. But if you're not going to wear a mask, please have the courtesy and the manners to stay 6 feet away from others, use other PPE and stay farther away from the elderly, immune-compromised patients, and those with other immune deficiencies. After all, it's every American's right to be a dumbass, but not at the expense of someone's life, and that's what you're risking by not using PPE or quarantining. The greatest tyranny is death. So please save a life, stay home, wear a mask. 6 feet apart is better than wishing 6 feet under on yourself and others. In fact, make a mask, help others, help your community, do an act of kindness, and either way, at the end of the day, you can feel good that you lay your head down on your pillow knowing that you did that right thing. Consider the unconsidered and think heavily, or you're thinking and considering a life. This doesn't have to be a culling of your heart, of your humanity, and of lives if you don't want to be. I believe in the dream that we can be without fear and safe at the same time. That one day we will overcome the paraphial ego of infighting and see who is causing the division. When you stop believing in the idea of impossibilities, that we must have faith in one and not all, that peace and love are an afterthought for an afterlife, and realize peace and love are more than possible, that they exist, that if you can't find it. When you stop believing in the idea of impossibilities, that we must have faith in one and not all, that peace and love are an afterthought for an afterlife, and realize peace and love are more than possible, that they exist, that if you can't find it, you can be it and stand with others that share it, that heaven can be made flesh. Acts of kindness, love and peace are vectoring small seeds we scatter from the trees of our heart, and then we see it. Life is a garden of action and words, and only together can we shape it. Please pay attention to the CDC and WHO for clear absolute facts on how to stay healthy, and what to do. The information they have could save your life and the life others, for knowledge is power, and it can save lives. Stay safe out there, please.